I'm David Scandura.
I'm Justus Burkett.
And today we're here to find out, is John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, the greatest movie ever made?
You shot my dog.
I get it.
Welcome to the greatest movie ever made, the show where we watch a movie and tell you if it's the greatest movie ever made.
John Wick excommunicado.
Movie that is so thoroughly entertaining and compelling that while you're watching it, it's the only thing that matters in the world. Justice.
David. I love when he fights somebody who he ends up respecting and he leaves them alive and then just goes, "Be seeing ya."
Yep.
That's a great thing that happens in all these movies.
Yeah, I really like it when Keanu Reeves says like 3 words and that's all he says for like the next 15 minutes of the movie.
I bet the total number of words he speaks in this entire movie is like less than 30. I feel like that's probably the case.
I seem to remember hearing that for Chapter 4, he has 17 lines of dialogue total.
Hell
which
yeah,
is
dude.
rad as fuck.
It is awesome that he mostly doesn't talk at all and is only doing kung fu. I mean, everybody who's familiar with the franchise knows John Wick is a movie about cool fights. It like in each movie, which each installment of the franchise gets progressively longer, right? The run times just keep expanding. The amount of story gets smaller, I feel like. And so it's like, it goes from like basically right under 2-hour movie with about a 2-hour movie's worth of story and a lot of cool fights, right? And then it's like, oh, now we're at, we cracked the 2-hour mark, and now there's like 100 minutes worth of story. By the time you get to the third one, this is like 80 minutes of story in a 2-hour and 15-minute movie. And it rocks, to be clear.
Yes,
that's one of the good things about these movies.
It's good and it's cool and it's awesome. It's also very well paced and well thought out and well done.
Yes, correct.
It's
all the choreography is, as we will talk about, some of the best shit in an action movie in recent memory.
This is a good movie.
Yes.
This is one of
those
John
good
Wick movies.
Are good movies. All of these are good.
Finally, we're talking about a good movie on this podcast. I was waiting.
As opposed to the Royal Tenenbaums, that sack of shit.
Yeah, that terrible, awful, heart-wrenching movie made by an auteur master.
No, we're here to talk about real cinema.
Is good movie.
Keanu Reeves throwing guns at guys.
The last 80 however many episodes, fucking dog shit.
Keanu Reeves doing 1 million headshots with CGI squibs look okay.
This is a type of movie that we've done on this podcast before, which falls into the category of movies I need VJ Emmy from Macaulaywood to record a commentary track for.
Movie! The movie is on!
Action back to movie! when they're doing the horse stuff, super kicker!
Them rule of threeing the horse thing, because like there's the one kick and then the double kick, and then you think he's gonna have the horse kick the guy the third time, and instead he wraps the thing around his neck and has the horse drag him. Very, very funny. Yes. I love that John Wick, because this franchise's primary method of communication with its audience is action sequences, right? I love that the action sequences sometimes move the plot forward, and sometimes tell you something about the characters, and sometimes are the joke. Like, just the way the action is done is in and of itself the thing that's supposed to make you laugh. And I mean, it truly does elevate stunt choreography to, like, I think its highest art form. Like, this is like the Sistine Chapel of stunt choreography.
It truly is. It truly is.
Yeah.
Hey, this is going to be one of those episodes where we just say, I love it when cool thing happened
for
2 hours. So, like,
basically,
get ready for that.
Yeah.
Again, this is the greatest movie ever made. I'm David Scandura, joined as always by my co-host, the Baba Yaga, Justus Burkett.
The only thing I don't like about John Wick 3 Parabellum is that Scott Adkins is not in a fat suit.
It doesn't have Killa, the best character in movie history.
Scott Adkins not in it at all, but he's especially not in it in a fat suit.
Or Klaus. We don't have Klaus in this one.
I am Klaus.
Every time I watch these, I think that this might have the strongest cast out of all of the movies, but
I sort of agree.
It doesn't have Klaus or Scott Adkins.
Yeah. But it does have some really fucking great bit players in it.
Yeah. We'll get to that before we start talking about the movie. How are you doing? And anything to recommend?
I'm okay. I'm a little stressed, so that's not super ideal, but I did go on a really nice hike this morning, and that was fun, and I'm feeling good post that. I think the stress is just because there's a lot of stuff coming up, and
you got a play to direct.
Yeah, there's not a lot of hours in the day, and there is many things that I must accomplish in those short hours. Yeah, but I'm good. I'm okay. I will get through it, and it will be fulfilling, and maybe it will be most fulfilling when it's over, but that's also fine. Type 2 fun, maybe. Yeah, and in terms of anything that I've been enjoying that I want to shout out, I feel like I've been putting off doing this as a media rec because the album has been getting lots of praise and buzz, but I just do have to say out loud that the sleeper hit so far of 2025 for me, not a sleeper hit in general, it's a major hit in general, but for me it's kind of snuck up in the ranking of what I've been listening to now anytime I get in the car I put on this album right away is the self-titled album by Viagra Boys. If you haven't listened to it yet, do, because it's really fucking good. I know I shouted out one of the singles on a previous episode, but the whole album's good too. My favorite song is Pyramid of Health. I have listened to this album 100 times, so, it's getting the accolades that it deserves, but also give it more. Good album. David, how are you?
I thought you were about to say Sleep Token. Even in Arcadia.
Fuck that. I started...
You started listening to
I started listening to Even in Arcadia just to... Anytime Sleep Token, which, for those of you who are not aware, is a pretty major metal band. I did air quotes when I said metal band, because, they have heavy guitars in their songs and everything else about it is not metal. Not to be the metal guy that's there's no real metal, but it's not though. And David and I are noted detractors of Sleep Token.
Yeah, don't like them.
But every time they drop a new project, it's sort of that thing where I'm in order to be a good faith hater of Sleep Token, I feel like I do have to engage with their latest project just to make sure that I still can go on mic and be Sleep Token fucking sucks ass and I hate them.
No, that's true. I thought about listening to their entire discography.
Yeah.
But because I'm occasionally a musical masochist and I'll do shit like that.
Just listen to bad music.
Or I'll watch a bunch of movies that suck, I don't know, a bunch of direct-to-video Hellraiser sequels.
Yeah, the entire Saw franchise.
But I didn't do that with the new one yet. Yeah. But I have listened to a couple of songs in the past, and then their last record. I did skip around in the track listing one day to see how far I could make it through particular songs, and not very far because they are not a good band.
Yeah.
But
bad music, bad band.
That was just
bad album.
Jokey joke. I made.
Anti-media recommendation. Sleep Token, get fucked.
Yeah. Did you ask me how I was?
I think I did. Yeah,
I'm good. I'm good today. It's been a rough week. My fucking landlord, man. My fucking landlord is trying to sell the place and being not very communicative about it. And sort of there's still a few things that are up in the air, and I understand that. But I was also like, hey, so do I need to find a new place? He was like, I'll let you know. And then on Friday, a couple of it's like a friend or a family member, I think, that he's trying to sell to.
Mm-hmm.
So they showed up to inspect the place, and I like spent all this time trying to get the cats wrangled and getting the place ready because they showed up last minute. And the last time he had someone show up, they showed up an hour and a half later than I expected. So I was expecting the same thing.
Oh yeah.
And it was just threw me off. And they walked in, looked at the place for literally no less than 30 seconds, walked out, and as he was shutting the door, he was like, all right, I'll let you know what happens. So like, I don't fucking know what's going on.
Yeah.
Looking at apartments, hey, you ever want to like just fast track those suicidal thoughts? Look at apartments in Flagstaff as a single person.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, the cost of living here is criminal. It's bad. It's not good.
And I think someone should do something about it. I'm making threatening gestures.
He is. John Wick-esque gestures, I would say. Related to, loading and whatnot.
So I was just in a shit-ass mood yesterday. And,
yeah, that sucks, man. I'm sorry.
And my grandmother's in the hospital.
Yeah.
She's fine. But it was just like, she was throwing up, and I guess she had pneumonia and congestive heart failure. But she's doing fine now.
Okay.
So that was not a great cocktail yesterday.
Yeah.
That and the apartment issues.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Otherwise, I'm here.
Yep.
Another day on planet Earth.
Yeah. Another day, not another dollar, because it's a weekend. Neither of us are getting paid for shit right now.
And we get to talk about the greatest Western action franchise.
Yes, right.
I would contend.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. You're more well-versed in the Western than I am, but I get where you're coming from when you say this.
Sorry, I mean action franchise of the West, from the Western world.
John Wick has the vibes of the Western genre, which I was also like, yeah, kind of.
Actually, yeah, it definitely does. But I do mean like of the West,
right?
As geopolitically,
as opposed
socially.
to the Eastern Hemisphere,
because
the Western
I
Hemisphere.
Don't know a ton about Hong Kong action cinema, and I'm leaving out like Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee,
right,
and tons of those great filmmakers.
But as far as white guys doing karate, it doesn't get better than Keanu motherfucking Reeves.
Yes, I do think John Wick is probably the best action franchise that Hollywood has put out.
Yeah,
probably ever.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to think about that, but I think that is a defensible position. And we both love this movie. We can wear that on our sleeves pretty handily.
Yeah, no spoilers for this episode, but this movie fucking rocks.
It rocks. I like that the title is John Wick : Chapter 3 Parabellum.
Yes, because it's the only one with the subtitle, so they needed a different punctuation mark to distinguish.
Because there's already a colon.
I do think the chapter designation is a little pretentious.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we need that for these movies.
No.
I would be fine if it was just John Wick 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Well, yes. Yeah, I do agree with that. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, I'm like, pretentious for a few of the entries in this franchise, maybe correct for this entry in the franchise, because we'll talk about it, but I think this movie achieves some interesting spiritual highs. I think this movie is about John Wick going into the desert to talk to God. I think John Wick meets God in this movie. That's sort of my take about the elder the one who sits above the table thing. It seems to me like this is a metaphor for like humanity speaking directly to their creator.
Sure, I could see that.
Yeah,
I don't think you're too far off, because especially 3 and 4 get very mythic and overt with their literary references.
Yes,
and by that I mean Dante's Inferno.
That's why those are the best two of all of these movies.
I agree. I think
I like the first one a lot, and on depending on the day, I might say the first one's my favorite. But I have the most fun with 3 and 4 because they go absolute sicko mode.
They
go insane.
Have you only gone through these the one time?
Yes. So this is now, I've seen the first one twice because I went through them all in advance of 4's release. And then I went...
Because I was like, we're going to go see John Wick 4. You better watch the other ones, bucko.
Yeah. And I went back and rewatched 1. And then now I've seen 3 twice. But I've only seen 2 and 4 once.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've seen these multiple times. Fun story. Almost all of the John Wick movies I saw high as shit for the first time.
That's the correct way to see a John Wick movie.
Because my friend was like, come over, we could play some video games and get high and watch John Wick 1. And I was like, John Wick? I don't know. I was like, I don't like Keanu. Because it was sort of in that period where Keanu's star had faded a bit and he was just kind of churning out a lot of bullshit.
Right.
But and John Wick didn't necessarily do terribly. The first one didn't do terribly well at the box office, but gained a cult following, and everyone said was pretty cool, and it had this interesting lore and backstory and world building that no one had really expected,
and great action is the other thing that people were saying after the first one came out before it had become what it would become.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got high and watched the first one, and then a little while later, we watched the first one and the second one back to back. And by the time we got to the second one, I was so high for the first one the first time that I forgot most of it.
Yeah.
Then I watched the first one again with my friend. As the high was building, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. And then we watched the second one, and by that point, I was so high that I forgot that immediately too.
Yeah.
Then we went back and watched 1 and 2 again.
Yes. Yeah.
And then went to go see 3 high in the theater.
And you didn't remember any of it. Yes.
And then you and I saw John Wick Chapter 4 in a state of relative sobriety, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I know I was high when we went to see John Wick 4. I don't remember if you were or not.
But I remember most of John Wick 4.
Yeah,
and I remember. John
Wick 4 is such a long movie that I went into that movie high and I left stones cold sober because it had come and gone.
No, I remember the theater experience of John Wick 3 because by the time we got to the knife fight, I was grinning from ear to ear so hard that my face hurt, and I was like high as giraffe pussy, and I was like, is this the best thing I've ever seen in my life? And maybe we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, that knife fight is... I was grinning ear to ear so much my face hurt watching it this time for the second time. Man,
definitely like top 5 theater experices was that knife fight. And
unfortunately,
the
I didn't see this one in the theater,
audience.
but like even just at home, I'm just like this is maybe the most fun I can have watching a movie. Like, I don't know if any scene in any movie is more fun than the hallway knife fight in John Wick 3, except for the Continental glass room fight at the end, which also goes hard as fuck. Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about our history with the franchise. Anything else you wanted to say about John Wick in general before we get into this movie specifically?
No, they're all great.
Yeah,
Fucking
they're all
watch
great
them. But I also think I do wonder what it would be like for someone who's never seen these before to walk in on this one.
Yeah, because it starts assuming that you saw the end of the last movie.
Previously on John Wick, he killed the villain on the Continental grounds, which is a big no-no.
You're not allowed to do that. The Continental is it's home base. You can't tag me. I'm on base. It's basically the rules of the Continental. And yeah, he fucking kills a dude at the end of 2 on Continental property. So now all of the fucking underground assassin network that apparently is comprised of most people who live on the planet. Like apparently you can walk into any restaurant, any library, any fucking convenience store, every single panhandler on the corner in New York City all of those people are in on the secret underground assassin network. So I think more people are secret assassins than are just normal people.
I think I was trying to cast my memory back through these movies. I think the only normal person not affiliated with the Assassin Network, just normal, regular jack-off living in this world that John Wick interacts with in all of these movies is the librarian at the New York Public Library.
But I was sort of getting the vibes that maybe she knew, because when she gives him the card catalog for the book that he asked for, she kind of does it in like a knowing way, and I was like, does this fucking lady know that he's John Wick? Is she like, yes, the Baba Yaga, so good to see you again.
No.
Welcome back.
No, I was definitely reading it as like she's gotten to the end of a 15-hour shift and is ready to get the fuck out of there.
All right.
And this cunt comes up looking for a book of Russian folktales.
Yeah.
But I do.
Nobody ever asks for that book, which is good because there's a bunch of secret shit in there.
I do like. Yeah, he picked a good book.
Yeah,
he picked a good book for hiding his emergency kit.
I just imagine like some NYU student doing like a master's in fucking European folklore or whatever. Like goes to the New York Public Library and is like, "What the fuck is all this shit? Who's this couple? There's a picture of some couple in this book." Along with a medallion and a fucking Byzantine cross, like.
So John Wick's running through the streets of New York City, running into
John Wick excommunicado
various
in 20 minutes.
Various street characters, New York City street characters that are all somehow affiliated with the Assassin Underground Network, including Jason Mantzoukas.
Yes. Who is in this movie for 3 scenes and is still one of my favorite parts of the movie. Just anytime I get to look at Jason Mantzoukas' face in a movie, I'm like, there he is. I love that guy. Have you ever watched The League?
No.
He is.
I was going to ask, because you've brought him up before.
Yeah.
What makes you such a big Mantzoukas head?
I'm a big fan of his podcast, which is probably what he's best known for, How Did This Get Made? Which he co-hosts with Paul Scheer and June Diane Raphael. It is another movie podcast that is way more famous and successful than ours.
Yeah.
That I'm a fan of. So and they basically exclusively cover like bad movies. They don't ever cover anything like Royal Tenenbaums on there. I love him on How Did This Get Made? He's hilarious. He's also a frequent guest on some of my other favorite podcasts. He just like kind of does the podcast rounds. But also I grew to love him as an actor watching The League, which I think was on like FX. That show it has highs and lows, but he is always a highlight of The League. His character on The League is fucking insane, and some every line that he has in that show is just a quote that will stick in your head for like years. There's one of my favorites. Sorry, one of my favorites is there's a scene in The League where he walks into the bathroom while somebody else is on the toilet, and he walks into the bathroom and goes, "Look at you, just taking a shit." It's one of my favorite line deliveries in anything.
It was a very good impression. I could hear it in my head.
Yeah.
My thing is, I sort of wish we took this even further and had more New York City street life that are involved in the assassin business. Like he goes up to a hot dog stand and like takes out a gold coin and is like, "Hold the mustard, extra relish, no onions." What can I do for you, Mr. Wick?
Welcome back, Mr. Wick. Yeah, well, that does sort of happen with the cabbie.
Yeah.
Because during this opening chase, he has his new dog with him. Folks who are unfamiliar with the John Wick franchise, who have somehow committed to listening to our episode on John Wick 3. In the first movie, the inciting incident is that his dog gets killed, and in the second movie, he gets a new dog.
Yeah. So this is the same dog. It's never given a name.
Maybe it's
just
the end of
dog.
the first movie that he gets this new dog.
End of the first movie, he does get the new dog.
Yeah.
And then the dog spends the entirety of the second movie with Lance Reddick.
Yes, and Ian McShane. Yeah. I like when the huge video game level shootout is happening at the end of the movie with the guys in the body armor, and we cut to Ian McShane in the vault with just sitting on a couch, like with his brandy snifter and a dog just asleep next to him. This dog is very cute. Big smiley, happy pitbull looking dog.
Yeah.
And but he gets into a cab with the dog, and he does the thing where like basically apparently every New York City cabbie, if you say the right phrase to them, are like, oh, you're part of the secret underground assassin network? Gotcha. Continental, you got it. And he's like, deliver this dog to the Continental. He goes to the library. We talked about him going to the library. I like the fight that he has with the guy from the 76ers, this actual professional basketball player who also
this 7'4" Serbian basketball player
who also is a good actor. I think he's good in this scene. He doesn't have a lot to do other than the fight choreo,
and he's done a few things since then. I've mostly seen him. I think he's a commercial spokesperson these days.
Yeah.
Which get that bag. But I think he's good in this.
Yeah.
And I love the camera reveal as like he walks into frame and then it pans up to show you how tall this fucking guy is.
Yeah, he's just enormous. He just makes Keanu Reeves look like a child by comparison. And I love how they use his proportions in the fight choreo. Like the really iconic moment of this fight is when he fucking just full on kicks Keanu in the chest and Keanu flies like 25 feet back. Because it's like, yeah, you're being kicked by a leg that is like 2/3 the length of your whole body.
Oh, I was gonna say when he grabs Keanu Reeves by the head and slams him into the shelves and goes shh.
Yes, because they're in a library. Yeah,
that's funny as shit.
It's really good.
And then John Wick kills him with a fucking book, which is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, at one point he's like shoving the book in his mouth, and it reminded me of in Alien when Ash is trying to kill Ripley with the rolled up magazine. But yeah, then eventually he just like he stands the book up on the table and like slams his neck into the book.
He breaks his jaw. You see, and I think it's probably a CGI effect.
Yeah.
You see him go slack-jawed, and then he stands him up on the table and breaks his neck on the table.
Yeah. It's rad as fuck.
And a dummy just falls off. Yeah, that's fun.
I mentioned the CGI squibs, and you just mentioned that this is maybe a CGI effect. Little quick sideboard detour we can take on this. How do you feel about the CGI elements in this movie? Like the CGI blood is one thing, but there's also like when we're riding horses and they're being chased by motorcycles, some of that's practical.
Yep.
In some moments it's not. And then the big motorcycle chase on the bridge later, like some of this is cartoons on cartoon bikes. A lot of it is real stunts. How do you feel about all that stuff?
Mostly I think it works. I think it looks fine and it works. I did sort of get the sense that we were also using some CGI in the Dune montage when John Muad'Dib makes his exodus into the deep desert.
Yes.
I did sort of feel like some of that was like, are those a bunch of CGI dunes?
I think some of it is perhaps augmented with CGI for those shots. Yeah.
But I was really looking at it. So I think it mostly looks good. The motorcycle fight and the horse stuff is a little too janky for me. And the CGI blood is maybe, I don't know if it's like the biggest black mark on this franchise. It hurts me a little bit that we're not using squibs, especially because in the movies that influence this, if you look at John Woo's fucking using squibs like nobody's business.
Oh yeah, Woo is squibbing out.
And it hurts me a little bit that we're not using that many squibs, but I also feel like because there's much more of a focus on the martial arts and we're doing things so close quarters and they're using blanks a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like we still get that.
Right. Like some of the muzzle flashes are real. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but it's like the one real flaw that I can point to in this franchise.
Right.
How do you think? What do you think of it?
I'm pretty much on the same page as you. I maybe have a little bit more of a problem with it than you do, but not by much. Like it's like there are moments of this one specifically, and I wonder if I go to 4 if I'll feel the same way. Where I'm like, this movie's already so long. And the CGI in this bit looks so not good to me that I'm sort of like, we maybe could have lost some of this. Like specifically in this movie, what I'm thinking of is the motorcycle fight where John Wick and then all the ninja guys are on the motorcycles, like fighting with katanas. And there is some cool stunt driving that is real in that sequence. A lot of it, especially once they're on the bridge, is either like assisted with CGI, or some shots are I think are like full CGI. Mm-hmm. And that was the one part of this movie where I was sort of like, I kind of don't need this scene. If we had the horse and motorcycle chase earlier, that kind of looked better. More of it looked good.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so I was like happy with that. And then we're doing the motorcycle chase again, and it looks worse. And I'm like, I don't know if I need this. This movie could maybe be like 5 or 10 minutes shorter, you know? And so like, again, this is a small gripe with a movie that I really fucking love, but it is sort of, to echo what you said, it does just kind of pain me a little bit, where I'm like, you're better than this, John Wick 3. Like, you're better than this shitty CGI motorcycle chase, you know? And the other one that was really bumming me out is the CGI blood doesn't bother me that much, because so many people get shot in the head in a John Wick movie that to use practical squibs,
right, it would be a nightmare.
It would take way more time. These movies would take way more time to make. It would be way more expensive. It looks worse, but I get why they do it, you know? And sometimes they do use real squibs, and just not often.
And sometimes the CGI blood looks fine.
Yes.
There's a couple headshots that look a little whatever, depending on the lighting.
Right.
Actually, what I was really noticing this time that kind of threw me off was when he cuts his finger off.
Yeah.
That looks really rough, and I'm sort of like, we couldn't have built a hand and stuck some red corn syrup in it.
Right. Like, you're better than this, John Wick 3, but, you know? And the thing that was really bumming me out, other than the motorcycle chase this time, is when they're in when they're in Casablanca in that big shootout, there's like a few moments where they're taking cover behind these like pillars, and there's like concrete like squibs, like concrete explosions that are CGI as well from the bullets hitting like the pillars. And those look shittier than the blood to me, where I was like, oh, that looks so fake. And I'm like, come on, like just blow up do a little puff of dust. Like, it's not that fucking hard, you know? And because that's one scene, and it's not like throughout the movie, I give it less grace than I give the CGI blood, because I'm like, well, yeah, from a budget perspective or whatever. But I'm like, for this one set piece, you couldn't just like do actual little puffs of concrete dust to make it look like bullets are actually fucking hitting the set, you know? So like, it probably sounds like I am more annoyed at this movie than I am, but it is just a thing that I'm like, this movie is great. It could be perfect, and some of the effects are, I think, one of the only things holding it back. Yeah,
I think that's fair. So is the next scene is the weapons museum, the knife museum?
Yes, yeah. Well, first he goes to the doctor. Or no, he goes to the doctor after the weapons. Wait, no, he goes to the doctor before the weapons museum.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, because
he gets stabbed.
He gets stabbed by the basketball player. Yeah, so he gets stabbed by the basketball player. He goes to the doctor. And then it's like fucking 15 seconds until he is excommunicado or whatever. So this mob doctor has to like stop sewing him up halfway through. And then he finishes sewing himself up. But I did want to mention this scene because I really like how it ends, where like the doctor tells him where to grab the painkillers from his shelf after John Wick is technically excommunicado. And so he's like, well, you know, they're going to have my ass for this because I helped you. So you have to make it look like you forced me to do it. And he like pulls up his shirt. And before he even finishes explaining what he wants John Wick to do, Keanu just blows a hole in this guy. And he's like, okay, yeah, but you have to shoot me one more time because they won't believe that you only shot me once because you're John Wick. And he's like, oh, so one right here too. And he blows another hole in him, and he's like, "Thanks, bro."
Yeah, that's Randall Kim from the Matrix movies,
right?
Because Chad Stahelski, director of these films, legendary stunt coordinator and stuntman, has doubled Keanu for years. Most notably on the Matrix movies.
Yeah,
and every once in a while, the John Wick movies come along and just say, hey, you remember The Matrix?
Oh, there's a huge moment that does that in this movie.
Remember The Matrix? We're going to do a little callback.
Yeah.
And
you know what? It doesn't bother me.
None of them bother me.
It doesn't bother me. Even when it is as brazen as Keanu Reeves turning directly to camera and saying, guns, lots of guns, which is just a line from The Matrix. I'm still like, yeah, you got away with it.
I think
fine.
I think the key to a good one-liner, like if you're gonna repeat a one-liner, it needs to make sense within the world of the movie.
Right.
And guns, lots of guns, totally works.
Right.
Basically, anytime Arnold says, I'll be back, totally works.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Does not work for me when they call back to it in Die Hard.
Yeah.
Because like, oh yeah, I'm gonna say yippee-ki-yay motherfucker again like that one time I did all those years ago. I think in the fifth one, John McClane says it in the helicopter as he's killing the bad guy. So he's just saying it to himself.
He's just like, this is my catchphrase now.
Or in two when he blows up the plane that is carrying the dictator or whatever, and he's on the tarmac and he lights the oil spill.
The shittiest one,
he's just saying it to himself.
The shittiest one is I think it's like the fourth one or something, where he covers the fucker with a gunshot.
They blow their one. I don't know if they blow their one fuck in that movie, but they don't use it for motherfucker.
Yeah,
maybe motherfucker is like too far for one.
Yeah, maybe you can't
PG-13.
say motherfucker in a PG-13 movie. You can say fucker, but not motherfucker. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So after he shoots the doctor, to help him out, to do him a solid, then it's the weapons museum. So he is still trying to get away from all of the assassins who, like, now he's an open contract on him, fucking $15 million. It's 14, and then it really quickly goes up to 15. He goes to the weapons museum. I like the bit where he's like disassembling and reassembling the like antique revolvers and shit to like make it fit the ammunition that that is available to him.
Yeah, that's a callback to a scene in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, I didn't know that because I've never seen that movie.
Where Eli Wallach assembles a revolver at a gun shop and then listens to the rotation of the cylinder to make sure it's good. And it's so funny that he only shoots one guy with it.
Yes.
He loads one bullet and shoots the guy and runs away.
Yeah. That's peak John Wick. It's like we dedicate so much buildup to the gun that is in his hand, and then he uses it for like 2 seconds and then is just on to the next thing. But yeah, and then he gets pursued by all these guys who are coming after him into the hallway full of cases of knives. And, I mean, we already sort of alluded to our feelings on this scene. This fucking whips so much fucking ass, dude.
It's like fist pumping.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, cinema.
The moment where, because they're fighting with guns, and then like he's been disarming guys and shit. So it's a lot of hand to hand. And I love the moment where like him and one of the assassins who's after him are like grappling for a second, and then they both look behind them and realize that there's cases of knives.
That's one of the things about the humor in this movie is the movie's very good at like finding these little beats and moments throughout the action sequences for like these rare little moments of these world-class hitmen being brought down a little bit and like sharing a moment, having a moment of humanity between each other where they're just like, well, I guess we'll just fight with all these fucking knives.
Yeah, like, hold on, why are we fist fighting right now? There's so many knives.
Or in Casablanca, where John Wick and two other guys are out of ammo, so they all like stop for a second, like, oh fuck, oh shit.
Yeah,
and they try to reload.
Yeah, then it becomes a contest to see who can reload the fastest. Yeah. So then they just start smashing all the cases open and pulling knives out, and they're like, they're knife fighting with the knives like in their hands, like close quarters, but then immediately so much knife throwing starts happening, and some of this is CGI and it looks really good. I think all this shit looks really good. And like they really make use.
I think the glass on the cases is CGI I think I remember hearing that too, and it looks really good.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Like I know, like when reflections and stuff are coming into play, that's really tough to do with CGI.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that they do. They have CGI for the case windows. And it looks really good.
Yeah.
And there's points where they're using the broken glass. Keanu is throwing so many knives into this one dude that he's a fucking pincushion by the end.
Yes. Like, one of these dudes gets, like, no fewer than 3 knives just in his head. It's bananas. It's so fucking rad. There's one great moment where a guy throws a knife at John Wick and it lands right between his legs, like it almost hits him in the dick, and then without missing a beat, he pulls that knife out of the floor and throws it back at the guy and it hits him in the head. Yeah.
You can tell that the Raid stunt team worked on this movie.
Oh yeah.
First of all, we're just going to put the biggest pin in the world in the Raid, because every time we watch an action movie, I'm like, we got to fucking talk about the Raid. We got to talk about the Raid.
I've never seen the Raid. I've just seen some of the action sequences on YouTube.
But
I've never seen the whole movie.
And this one, I was just like, okay, we're definitely talking about the Raid as soon as possible.
Someone on YouTube recommended us to do the Raid too, so we even have a listener recommendation.
Yeah. So we'll just put the biggest pin in the world in the Raid, and by biggest pin in the world, I mean a broken fluorescent bulb through the throat.
Cool.
God. And we have 2 actors from the Raid in this movie.
Are those the 2 Indonesian guys at the end? Yeah,
the Shinobi twins.
Yeah. So those guys are Yayan Ruhi-un and Cecep Arif Rahman. And E.T. provided us a lot of research on them, which is greatly appreciated.
And pronunciation guide.
Yes. I especially like that both of these guys are like instrumental in getting their martial art that they practice. It's like Indonesian martial arts, which is penca silat. They're like, both of these guys are pretty instrumental in getting that like martial art form recognized like globally, right? But yeah, it seems like both of these guys are kind of like champions for like their art form, you know,
right?
In the same way that like Bruce Lee was, you know, and so it's kind of cool that they're like elevating Indonesian martial arts to the world stage.
Yeah, and they're both, I mean, fucking awesome in the Raid, and their team that they work with moved over to this movie and worked with Chad Stahelski's team, and like you can tell, and I think what elevates this one so much above probably like the second one, which I would probably consider to be my least favorite, is the higher emphasis on martial arts and like more brutal violence with melee weapons and improvised weapons in like as gloriously depicted in this knife scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, it fucking rocks.
Yeah.
We're going to say that a lot in this episode.
There's the moment towards the end where like one of the last guys is struggling with John Wick, and he really slowly stabs that guy right in the eyeball.
That's a solid fucking...
It's gnarly as fuck.
Fucking eye stab. I remember people wincing in the theater at that.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And then there's also like a guy who's like, he has like a bunch of knives in his torso, but he's kind of still alive, and he like starts sputtering. And a couple of guys had grabbed axes from the cases and were fighting him with axes. And John Wick just takes the axe like full double overhand, like he's at like an axe throwing range, and hurls this hatchet directly into this dude's fucking head. And he just like crumples. It's awesome. It's cool as shit.
And then he makes it down to these horse stables, and man, kicks a guy in the face with the horses.
Yes. So like, this is really where I think this scene, the first time I was watching these movies, I think the scene where John Wick smacks a horse and gets it to kick a dude to death in the head twice in like 45 seconds. It happens so fast. I think this was the exact scene where I fully locked into this franchise. Because I had watched 1 and I had watched 2, and I actually liked 2 a little bit less than I liked 1. So I was like, I don't know, like maybe I'm going to have diminishing returns. Maybe like not all of these are going to have the juice.
Yeah, I think 2 dives headfirst into the world building, and there's maybe too much of it. There's too much story in 2, and the action isn't as rewarding as the first movie.
It's still great, but it's like, yeah,
it still whips.
It doesn't reach the heights that 3 and 4 are going to.
Yeah, it still whips really hard. Yeah. And visually, I think that one's sort of a weird middle ground, where the first one is like monochromatic neo-noir sort of thing, and then these
3
last
and 4
2 are
like
just like
neon drenched and fucking they look like fucking anime.
Yeah, it's just pure 80s retro wave worship.
Yeah,
and that second one is sort of just kind of bland by comparison.
Yeah, the knife fight in the hallway really hooked me the first time I was watching it, obviously. But I think the moment where I was like, oh, fuck, this franchise has the juice, is when it was immediately followed up by all of the horse stable stuff. Because I'm just like, this not only is this movie full of some of the coolest stunts I've ever seen, but also they're just using the action in ways that is fucking hilarious. Like, the horse kicking thing is a joke, and it's really funny. And, I do have to dive into some of E.T.'s research, because the stunt horse trainer for this movie, who was uncredited in the film, is named Tiger Rudge, and she is the first woman to work in Pakistan as an assistant stunt coordinator. She's also the first woman to drive a stunt car through ocean waves, and she is Britain's first female bull rider. And David, You had the research. Did you look up Tiger Rudge?
No, I didn't.
I want you to Google right now Tiger Rudge, Rudge, and just see what this woman looks like, who is, again, Britain's first female bull rider, the first woman to drive a car through ocean waves.
Jesus Christ.
I knew that would be your reaction. So there's a photo, which is probably the one you're looking at, where she's wearing a super torn up, cropped green sweater and camo pants and Converse All-Stars, and kneeling on the ground in front of a pink convertible that has a windshield decal that says Tiger Rudge. This woman, I want this woman to punch me in the face.
She is gorgeous and like surprisingly ripped.
She's so jacked.
She's got a sleeper build, as we call it.
I think
Holy
this is
shit.
I think this is the most important piece of information that I have ever been clued into. So thank you, E.T., for letting me know that Tiger Rudge exists.
God,
I knew you needed to see Tiger Rudge because I know your type, and I'm
just trying to imagine shouting the name Tiger in bed.
I bet you are.
I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah. Man, what a woman.
Jesus H. Christ.
What a woman. Anyway, this has been Tiger Rudge Corner. Back into the rest of the movie. The horse shit's all the horse shit. The horse stuff in this movie is all great. Mm-hmm. And then at certain points, it's cartoon Keanu on a cartoon horse, and that's less great, but it's still mostly awesome.
Yeah, the horse on the motorcycles is fine. Horse in the motorcycle scene is okay. But I agree. I think the Knife Museum was like the moment where I was like, oh, they're going to top themselves. And I think the Knife Museum is a high point in this movie.
Yeah, totally.
I do think there are other scenes in this movie that top the Knife, even the Knife Museum.
I
for
agree.
Me.
Yeah.
And then the horse stuff was like, oh, they have the audience in the palm of their hand.
Yeah.
Because they know what the audience is thinking. Oh, action sequence in a closed space with these horses. Something's gonna happen. Oh, it just happened.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. One of these horses should kick a guy in the head. Oh, hey, look. And then it's like that moment is so rewarding that they're like, well, we have to give it to you again. Yeah, it's awesome. So he steals a horse from this stable, and he's getting chased by motorcycles, and then they eventually he gets both of the guys on the motorcycles, gets away momentarily because a lot of this movie is kind of just an extended chase sequence. It's like everybody in the world chasing John Wick.
Yeah. He makes it to the theater.
Yes.
With the Ruska Roma.
Yes.
And Angelica Houston. Hey, big couple of weeks for Houston heads.
This is a fucking absolutely insane back-to-back for Angelica Houston on this podcast. From the Royal Tenenbaums to this. Yeah, she's great in this. I like that she's wearing a Dracula cape. Did you notice her like fucking red popped collar?
And her silly accent. I like her accent.
Yes.
It's very fun.
Yes. Why have you come back here, Giordani? Yeah. She rules. As per usual. She is like tormenting this ballerina who keeps falling down during her dance, and she's like, "Do it again!"
I want to know more about this bizarro combo ballerina school / I got martial arts training.
I got good news for you, David. I think there's a movie coming out that's gonna give you some more context on this. I think it's called Ballerina in theaters now. The release of this episode.
It's just weird. I'm imagining like what if there are more artistic institutions doubling as hitman training schools in this universe.
Like Second City in Chicago is secretly also part of the Assassin Network. I want to see what those stand-ups are like fucking
see the John Wick World improv troupe that's secretly training hired killers in the basement.
Yeah, they like do prop comedy, but then like they're secretly just really good with like fucking bow stabs or whatever. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ones like
puppet shows.
Puppet theater that's like a secret.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's sort of implied here that John Wick is actually Russian.
Yes, well, or Belarusi.
Yeah, Eastern European.
Yeah.
Which
because his name is Jardani, like Jovovich or something.
Yeah.
Janovovich. I don't know.
And I was sort of thinking this time because Keanu's Russian is not great, shall we say?
Yeah.
I was sort of wondering if maybe he is actually American, like an American orphan or whatever.
Right.
And
because that seems to be the
just
thing.
adopted him and gave him that name.
That seems to be the thing with the Ruska Roma in the John Wick universe is they like take in orphans and turn them into killing machines, which is, unethical.
Ballerinas.
Ballerinas / killing machine.
Yeah, it seems like if you're a guy, you get the wrestling.
You learn wrestling, yes. And if you're a girl, you learn ballet.
And apparently they are putting on a show because they are rehersing.
Well, the money's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Hitmanning doesn't pay all the bills. You got to,
I'm sure
there's a lot of equipment in that theater, lighting equipment and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure the power company doesn't accept those gold coins.
You're right.
You trying to fucking pay me with this?
What the hell is this shit? The fuck is a Continental? Yeah, Angelica Houston is directing this ballet. Then Keanu comes in and waves his Byzantine cross in her face and is like, "I still have my ticket." And this is a thing that I like in these movies because it's like you might think if you just dropped in for the third movie and hadn't seen 1 or 2 that you're supposed to know what this ticket thing is. You're not. It has not been explained. This is new for this movie. I love the way the world building is structured in these movies where you get just enough, right? And like what we learn is basically like this cross on this like prayer rosary that he has is his ticket where the Ruska Roma owe him a favor. And if he cashes it in, they fucking tear it off his rosary, stick it on a fire poker, heat it up, and brand him with it to let everybody in this secret society know this guy's fucking had his ticket ripped. Don't give him anything. You don't owe him shit. But I love the way that that's like very kind of slowly revealed throughout the scene. It takes a while for you to really get what he's asking for.
Yeah. And the other thing that this movie does is it introduces a series of these MacGuffins that are used as loopholes to the rule that no one can help John Wick or will kill you.
Right.
It's like we have this little loophole, and Keanu uses these loopholes and forges these alliances just long enough for him to get a little bit further ahead, and then he's like, No, actually, I'm not going to do that. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fully at the end, the high table is like, all right, we will put you back in our good graces. You have to work for us forever.
All you have to do is kill Ian McShane. And then when he goes and sees Ian McShane's like, hey man, I get it. You can kill me. And he's like, I actually changed my mind.
They're just bros. They're just their friendship is too strong. And he's like, let's see, I could get out of this and never have anyone come after me again and live to be remembered as a good husband, which is another thing that he's going through in this movie.
Yeah.
Or I could not.
Or I could throw away literally all of the effort that I have expended throughout this entire movie. It is kind of funny that
or we can make a fourth one of these.
Right. It is kind of funny, and I don't have a problem with this. Maybe in a lesser movie, I would, but it is interesting that this movie kind of ends in the same place it starts. Like, we kind of get nowhere in this movie, plot-wise. I think his character's journey in this movie is very important to the franchise and really sets up where he's at in number 4. Mm-hmm. But, like, strictly speaking, like, the circumstances of the character of John Wick at the end of this movie are pretty remarkably similar to what they were when he starts.
There is a version of this movie in my head that is 90 minutes of John, like basically 90 minutes in real time, more or less, of John Wick making his way through New York, fending off assassins, and sort of ending up where he does end up at the end of this movie, and we just take the Casablanca stuff out.
Oh, but I like the Casablanca stuff.
I like the Casablanca stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we got the movie that we did. I would, if we're going to continue to do John Wick movies and spin-off movies, it would be fun to have a movie that's sort of like that. But then again, like, that's sort of the last hour of chapter 4 too, is just like real time him trying to survive through the streets of Paris.
Real time him falling down the stairs. He falls down so many stairs.
It's a lot of stairs that man falls down in that movie.
So many stairs. Yeah, the first one is a little bit more real time, but it's not him against the whole world. It's him against one specific group of people.
Yeah, it's a lot more small scale.
Yeah,
and focused. I think.
But yeah, in the case of John Wick 3, bigger is indeed better. So I'm happy that we do go to Casablanca and all that stuff.
Yeah. I agree. I think the globetrotting, when these movies become like Indiana Jones globetrotting action movies, I'm I think these are the best ones. I think these two are the best ones.
I agree.
And we introduce more Dante stuff here with this conversation that he has with Angelica Houston, where she's talking about like the path to paradise begins in hell.
Yes. Also, at one point when she's walking him through all of the torture dungeons that are underneath this ballet stage, where all of these fucking orphans are being forced to wrestle each other. There's a ballerina who's like pulling one of her toenails off, and as she's doing that, Angelica Houston goes, "Art is pain, life is suffering," which I love hearing Angelica Houston say that while someone's pulling their toenail off. Impeccable vibes. Yeah.
But while this is happening, I think we've had some scenes here. The adjudicator
shows up
to the Continental
right around here. Yeah. The actor who plays the adjudicator is non-binary, and they use they them pronouns, and canonically the adjudicator is also a non-binary character.
That tattoo on the neck, I'm pretty sure that is Asia Kate Dillon's real tattoo.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's not a character thing, but it is just like a very cool touch.
The adjudicator is the hottest character in any movie we have ever covered.
So I did see this in your review. Let's break this down and talk about it. Go ahead and give us your Asia Kate Dillon treatise.
It's less Asia Kate Dillon, who they look great.
Yeah.
Them in this movie specifically, just something about it. I don't know. Like, I was just like, this, I think it's partially the costume, it's partially just the way they look, and it's also partially the performance. Something about how they're model walking into every scene holding these gloves.
The holding the gloves is really interesting to me.
With the like rectangle like slab earring and the neck tattoo and the buzz cut, and they're just like giving every single person in this movie the cold steel. because they have like really piercing blue eyes and talking like really condescendingly to everyone. And I was just like, whatever this whole thing is, whatever this whole package is between costume, performance, their face, I was just like, this is really working for me. I don't really know what it is. I guess I just like people who are confident and a little bossy. I'm like,
makes sense.
You can tell me what to do.
It makes sense.
I do like being told what to do. Like, I like when somebody else makes decisions for me. So maybe that's it. Because they're coming in here being like, I am making all the decisions for you, whether you like it or not. You have no other choice. And to some degree, that is my dream. I do want someone to waltz into my life and just do that.
I think you're married to one.
Yeah, well, right. I have a type. Yes, of course.
Not only is it short girl, big soda, it's
tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do. Yeah.
Yes. Please tell me what to do. I don't think bossy is a bad thing. I think, bossy, parentheses, complimentary.
give me a little checklist.
Yeah, tell me what to do.
Let
me know what my tasks are. Let me know what you expect from me. And then if I do what you expect of me, give me a little pat on the head, say good boy, right? Which, if the adjudicator told me that I was a good boy, I'd be vibing with that.
My reaction to the adjudicator can maybe be summed up as like, is this the first time that I, as a cisgender heterosexual man, have experienced gender envy?
Okay.
Because they, both the character and the actor, are serving cunt up and down this fucking movie, from the look to the performance to the line delivery. I am in love with this villain, and I think the John Wick series has always had fine villains.
Yeah.
The
Adjudicator is maybe the best.
I think the best
villain in the whole series. And like they also like sort of are not as overtly villainous as a lot of the other villains. They're just doing their job because they're lawful evil. Right. And if you want to make a shortcut to making a D&D lawful evil character, make them a judge. Yes. I love the Adjudicator. The Adjudicator can adjudicate me any day of the week. The performance also, like, I mostly talked about how I'm attracted to every single thing about this character, but the performance is Asia Kate Dillon rocks in this movie. They're so good in this movie. I think it's some of the best acting in any of these movies.
Yeah, I think the bit players in this movie and the side characters and the supporting characters, they really work if they're going cold and understated, kind of like Angelica Houston and definitely Asia Kate Dillon. And they also work if they're going big, like Laurence Fishburne and Mark Dacascos.
Right.
If they're in the middle somewhere, like Jerome Flynn, which we'll talk about a little bit more later, they don't work as well.
I think Jerome Flynn's good in this movie, but I agree he leaves less of an impression.
I think he could be better.
Yeah, he leaves less of an impression. Did you already mention the guy who plays Zero in this movie?
Yeah, Mark Dacascos.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
But American listeners, American viewers will know him best as the chairman on Iron Chef, but he has...
oh, shit. I didn't even realize that's who that was. Fuck.
But he has a career as a martial artist and an actor.
Yeah. I love him in this movie. We'll get to him. But yeah, the big broad performances are some of my favorites in this movie. Mark Dacascos and Laurence Fishburne, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ian McShane and Lance Reddick.
Right. Oh God.
R.I.P. the great Lance Reddick.
He's so good in all of these movies.
They're fucking rad as hell.
Yeah. Like Lance Reddick is like one of the best parts of every single one of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And these scenes with the Adjudicator are basically about they're shutting down the hotel.
Yes, because they are going. The Adjudicator is going after everybody who helped John Wick.
Yeah.
Right. So they go to the Continental first, basically being like, "Hey, you gave him an hour to get away after he killed somebody on Continental property. You should have dropped his ass right then and there. Like, you shouldn't have given him a head start. And Ian McShane's, it's like my hotel. I can do what I want. And they're like, not anymore. You can't. You have 7 days to get your affairs in order. And after that, I'm coming back and fucking firing your ass and replacing you with somebody else.
Right.
Right. And they do the same thing to the Bowery King, who helps him. And then later to Angelica Houston. They're just like following in his footsteps and like, punishing everybody who like gave him the next step on his little getaway mission, right?
Yeah. Angelica Houston gets her hands cut off.
Not cut off, like stabbed through the center.
Oh, that's right. I think I was looking away during that scene and I was misremembering it.
It's so crazy that they just stick a katana through both of her hands and then leave her like looking at these huge gaping holes in her palms. It's pretty brutal. And then Laurence Fishburne gets the 7 cuts. And you think he's dead. The first time I watched this movie, I was like, oh, fuck, they killed Laurence Fishburne. And then he comes back at the end like fucking Mason Verger.
There's the scene where Zero's team invades the Bowery King's facility and stabs him. And I do want to just like do a little focus on Laurence Fishburne for a minute here. An actor who every time I watch him, I become more and more convinced that he is our greatest living actor.
I love Laurence Fishburne. Yeah. You're not going to hear any argument from me on this. I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. Yeah.
And I think what it is about him is I have never seen him give a bad performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everything he's been in, big or small, highbrow or lowbrow, whatever way you want to look at it. I think what works about Laurence Fishburne is he trusts in the script.
Yeah.
He trusts in the script and he trusts in the words that he's saying and delivers them in a way that clearly demonstrates that.
Yeah.
He's never half-assing it. And I don't know that I've seen another actor commit as hard as he does in everything that I've seen him in. Other than like, I suppose one could also say Willem Dafoe.
Right.
Nick Cage, if the script is right.
Right.
You can tell when Nick Cage is on and when he's off.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes he's on and it's still a bad performance because the material is that bad. Like Cage is like less discerning with his projects, And so sometimes it's like, well, yeah, if this was good material, this would be a good Cage performance, but the material is so bad that it's not good. Like that even the performance is suffering, And whereas Fishburne, I don't think I've ever seen it in anything that bad.
I think one of the things that solidified it for me was Megalopolis, where I was like, there's people here who are struggling with this giant weird movie that Francis Ford Coppola has constructed.
Yeah.
And Fishburne's like, nah, I've got it. I've got it locked in.
Yeah.
He just and with his John Wick performances, he just makes a meal out of every line that he's given.
Oh yeah.
He savors every syllable.
Yeah.
It's rad as fuck.
When the adjudicator
I've said that a billion times already.
When the adjudicator comes to give him his 7 cuts as punishment, and Laurence Fishburne delivers the king is dead. Long live the king. It's just like the guy has more like swagger and gravitas than like any other human being on the planet. He can't turn it off.
This man has a cock the size of an anaconda.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I am the Bowery. The way he hits that bellow is like earth-shattering.
And even at the end when he's like he's sort of like a little bit doing like a Phantom of the Opera thing where he's like ranting about how everyone's betrayed them to John Wick. And he's like, it's almost, you're on his side, but he kind of is like making like a little villain monologue out of it.
His little sewer throne.
Yeah, right. He does have a sewer throne.
It's like his throne and candles, and there's a little couch that the dog sits on that he's built in the sewer. I love it.
I like when he's gonna get cut by Mark Dacascos. And he's holding the pigeon, and he like hands the pigeon off to one of his cronies, and he's like, "Look away, my love," or whatever to the bird. It's so fucking funny. Like, I don't want you to see this, baby. Is the Bowery King dating that bird? He carries her around a lot.
Speaking of bit players in this movie, John Wick has made it to Casablanca.
Yes.
The concierge, the Casablanca version of the concierge, this guy just does such a great little performance where he's like, "Welcome to Casablanca, Mr. Jonathan." I love this dude. I wish he was in more of the movie.
He rules. This scene was big time giving me Indiana Jones vibes, which you already mentioned before. Yeah. And this guy just seems like he would totally fit in talking to Dr. Jones. Yeah, it's great. And then he's like, "All right, like I'll lead you to the manager of the Casablanca Continental." And Halle Berry enters this movie and she fucking whips ass. This is the best I've ever seen her in anything.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like Halle Berry, her star had faded a bit by this point.
Yeah,
and I think like
she's made her fair share of stinkers.
In terms of like Halle Berry action movies, I can think of like Catwoman and Die Another Day, where she's quite bad in Die Another Day, definitely.
Yeah.
And then she just waltzes into this movie and just fucking crushes it.
She kicks ass. She's got like a face tattoo. She has a neck tattoo in Arabic. She looks awesome. She's got 2 German Shepherd attack dogs.
Yeah, so she trained. Of course, the making of these movies involves extensive months of training, particularly for Keanu Reeves and, of course, the rest of the stunt team.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves, by the way, we haven't really mentioned it. It's mostly common knowledge, but it bears repeating. Dude's like in his 50s. When this movie shoots, did like 98% of his own stunts. Just absolute bonkers shit. Like, It's so crazy that he can move like this at his age. Continue.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say, Halle Berry also went through multiple months of training, too.
Yeah.
And training with the dogs, so the dogs would respond to her commands.
Yeah.
And it seems like she really committed to it, which is showcased in the action scene that we have coming up.
Yeah.
But we have a great little exposition scene between the two of them where in the last movie the concept of the marker is introduced, where you basically owe someone a favor and you can't kill that person who bears your marker. And
there's a little needle that you get some blood and then you put it on a little bloody thumbprint,
right,
like your like your blood brothers, like you're doing a playground friendship ceremony.
Right. And Halle Berry owes John Wick a favor because he helped her get her daughter to safety.
Yeah.
That's something that's never really like elaborated on at all. We never
doesn't have to be.
But
doesn't have
cool.
to be. The amount of it that we get in this scene is plenty, and I'm like, great. I don't need anything else about the daughter. I get it. And the movie's like, the movie knows that that's how I feel, and they're like, moving on. Let's watch these dogs bite 15 different dudes in the nuts.
But I do love the active disdain with which Halle Berry is treating Keanu Reeves throughout this entire sequence.
Yeah, it rocks how much she does not want to be helping him. I like when because initially she pulls a gun on him and he's like, "Hey, you can't kill the bearer of your marker," or whatever, and he kind of talks his way into like being heard out, and she goes, "Sit," and the 2 dogs just sit down. She's like, "I was talking to you." It's so good.
She does shoot him.
Yes, she does shoot him. Yes.
She's like, "I just shot you."
Yeah.
And
he's got a bulletproof suit.
Bulletproof suit.
Yeah.
And then everyone has bulletproof suits in the 4th one.
Yes.
It's like a thing now.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I was thinking? Because he has the bulletproof suit. He really should have taken one of those bulletproof helmets off of the high table guys and just put it on during that fight. Because then he would basically have been invincible. Like, he can get shot in the suit and be fine. And if he just had something to protect his head, like, that would have made that fight way easier. I understand we have to look at Keanu Reeves' face and that's part of it. But just like, from a tactics standpoint, it seems like you would want to grab one of those things and stick it on your own dome.
I guess so. He could also use it as a weapon like he did previously when he beat a man to death with his own motorcycle helmet.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh, that rocks. Oh, we didn't even talk about how one of the just like things that happens in between fight sequences earlier in the movie is like when he's going, I think it's from the it might be from the knife fight to the stables or somewhere around there. He just gets hit by 2 cars.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's just a thing that happens between action sequences as he's traveling. He just gets hit by a car and then gets hit by another car and then gets up and keeps
I think
running.
it's in his contract that he has to get run over by at least one car in every John Wick movie.
Chad, there's no cars hitting me in this one. I have to be hit by a car, Chad.
I think that has to, like, because I think that happens at the beginning of the second one. Yeah, it's just, if there is a flaw to these movies, another like little flaw that I could poke at, it's okay. John Wick's God. He can be invincible.
Yeah.
There's maybe a couple things that happen to him and a couple falls and hits that he takes that are stretched beyond the realm of believability just a hair.
A couple? This man should be dead like 20 times over by the time this movie ends. It is fucking insane that he keeps walking, you know? Towards the end in the Continental fight, when the 2 dudes who are in the raid, who we mentioned earlier, throw him through 18 panes of glass, maybe more, 24 panes of glass. He gets thrown through so much glass. I'm like, you would just be dead, like, just from the head trauma at that point. Like, your brain would swell up and you would just die from that. After fucking taking that many panes of glass straight to your fucking dome. Yeah. No, this man should not be alive, but it's fine. He's an immortal revenant. It's fine.
Yeah. So basically, he's trying to get in touch with the High Table.
Yeah. So he wants Halle Berry to take him to Jerome Flynn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jerome Flynn's facility is like, it's cool to see. There's like a facility where they make the gold coins. That's kind of fun. It's a little background world building.
Yes. I guess he's the treasurer of the High Table.
Yeah, probably. That's probably not a great position on the High Table.
Yeah.
That's the other. They never really go into detail about the workings of the High Table or the structure of it,
which is for the best. I don't need all that.
Which
bullshit.
is fine. I was sort of expecting them to do it at some point. Because the fourth one, Bill Skarsgård's the villain and he's a High Table member. And because I sort of thought at some point these movies were building up to, John Wick's just going to kill everyone on the High Table.
Right.
He's just going after everyone on the High Table.
Yeah.
But we never quite get there.
Yeah. I like that it's just like kind of vague criminal underworld.
Yeah.
You know? And I like when you're in like the phone bank for the High Table where they like decide that people are excommunicado.
Oh, the switchboard with the goth girls?
Yes, with all the goth girls, there's like the girl who goes and gets like the old-timey files. Like they have like old-fashioned like Rolodex and like rotary phones and shit. I like all that stuff, and it's like there's no way that more explanation would make this make sense. It's just an aesthetic. It's just a vibe. It's fine. Like I don't need to know more about it. I don't want to know more about it.
I do like the older lady who's like doing the countdown at the beginning.
Yes.
And
John Wick, excommunicado.
15 minutes or the bounty's up to 15 million.
Yeah.
I sort of, in my headcanon, she's like in charge of that office. And you just know that lady's running that place like the fucking Navy.
She's like an old lady with like neck tattoos and shit. So she was like the OG like switchboard operator pinup girl for the High Table. like back when she was in like her 20s and like pinup girls were actually in the first time
before all these young hot Kat Von D fans came in.
Right. Right, exactly, yeah.
These blonde bimbos working there.
Yeah, these Dita Von Teese looking motherfuckers. Yeah. Man, you just know that when the phones aren't up and running, that place is blaring Marilyn Manson. Just 24/7 is the soundtrack in there. Wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Winston, I can't hear you. Somebody needs to turn down the fucking 9 Inch Nails.
No skinny puppy on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesdays for Rob Zombie. We had this lined up. This was in the last memo.
Yeah. Rob Zombie looks like he would have a great time at the...
It was actually a physical memo because everything they have in there is old and analog.
There's no computers.
They have the old-ass IBM computers.
Oh, they do it. Yeah, it's a little surprising that Sherry Moon Zombie isn't one of these phone operators. Back-to-back Angelica Houston mentions and also Sherry Moon Zombie mentions, even though she wasn't in either of those movies.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah, anyway. Jerome Flynn is being a real dick about this whole thing.
He's monologuing a bit. I think, so my thing with Jerome Flynn is who is a great actor, and I think he's great in like what I had seen previously, Game of Thrones. He's rad as fuck in that. My thing here is he's not big enough. His accent is weird in a way that I don't like. Like, it's sort of hard to place. It's like vaguely Italian, kind of.
Right.
And I also just don't think his dialogue is terribly interesting. So it's like, it's not really, it's partially his fault, I guess. But this dialogue that he has about, this monologue that he has about the commerce of relationships is just boring as shit to me.
Yeah, that's true.
And it doesn't factor into the themes of the movie at all, or at least it doesn't drill down to the thematic core of these movies in a way that I like, with some of the Dante stuff and talking about like, hey, John, you know, are you really gonna kill everyone? And he's like, yeah. He's like, was that gonna make, you know, the death of your wife
hurt any less? Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. Like, that stuff's really cool.
Yeah, and all the stuff where John Wick talks to God about the purpose of continued existence. Yeah.
But he's being an asshole, and he wants to take one of Halle Berry's dogs.
Yeah, he's basically like, I'll help you,
payment.
but in return, you have to give me that dog. And Halle Berry's like, no, you can't fucking have my dog. And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna teach you something about fealty. People say the word fealty in this movie 1 million times. Everybody's talking about fealty, and this is where Jerome Flynn's like, oh, well, let me teach you a lesson about fealty, because he's got a weird inexplicable accent, and he shoots the dog, which is wearing a bulletproof vest, so the dog is fine, which I appreciate. I appreciate that this franchise killed one dog, and then after that it's like, dogs are safe in these movies from now on. Every single human being on screen other than Keanu Reeves will be shot in the head, but every single dog is safe from now on. So the dog's fine. But Halle Berry does not take this well, and big relate. Honestly, when John's like, don't, when she's gonna shoot him because he shot her dog, I'm like, no, fucking let her do it. She's in the right. You can't shoot someone's dog even if they are wearing a bulletproof vest.
No, Halle
it's
Berry
a real dick move.
Is entirely justified in massacring this entire Casablanca temple
because a guy shot her dog with a bulletproof vest and didn't even cause it lasting harm. Yes.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even shoot a gun towards a dog. It doesn't matter if you hit the dog or not. You should get the death penalty for shooting near a dog. Honestly, I think the people who are shooting at the target range close to the hiking trails where I take my dogs should also get the death penalty for scaring my dogs while they're out on their hike.
Jesus Christ. There's a target range out there?
Yeah, sort of nearby. Yeah. So sometimes we hear gunshots, and my dogs don't like it while we're hiking. So I think those people should be killed.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think fireworks should be illegal because they scare my dogs. I'm like, fireworks, we don't need them. Put anyone who shoots one off in jail.
I had my fun with fireworks as a kid.
Yeah.
At this point, can't fucking stand it.
Yeah.
Can't stand them on 4th of July.
I know.
Or
they're just
New
annoying.
Year. They're just like, it sends my It sends my cats into a tizzy, and I don't like it. And
they're loud.
People just
they're bright.
Shoot them off way later than they should be.
Yep.
And
it's like, I'm trying to fucking sleep. I don't give a shit about the anniversary of this shit ass country. I'm trying to fucking get some shut eye, bitch. Anyway, if I was dictator of the world, fireworks would be illegal, and so would gun ranges, so that my dogs could walk peacefully in the woods. Yeah, so this fight breaks out. I like these dogs just start grabbing dudes in the dick.
A lot of guys getting bitten in the dick in this movie.
Which is a thing that real attack dogs do. Like, when you train a dog as like a guard dog or an attack dog, they go for soft areas, and on dudes, that is the dick and balls. Like, real attack dogs will just grab you by your dick.
Yeah, it makes sense.
50%
of the world's population was born with a weak spot.
Yep.
So if we were in a video game, that would be highlighted red.
Yeah. Yeah, they mostly go for like, they actually do a pretty good job of showing what, to my knowledge, is like a pretty realistic depiction of how like trained attack dogs behave, which is like they'll bite hands, they'll bite groins, they'll bite necks, and you see them do all of that in this. And then they grab and they just like do the thing where they like pull and pull and pull, and you see them doing that a bunch in this sequence. And every single time I was like, oh man, that looks like that hurts so fucking bad. Just having a German Shepherd chomp onto your fucking dick and then just tug at it.
And Halle Berry has to call them off and direct. And yeah, she's doing commands and calls, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
The shot of the dogs leaping over this like cart to attack two guys as Halle Berry slides under it.
Yeah.
Fucking cinema right there.
There's a lot of really great moments, and a lot of the really great moments are, because sometimes these dogs in this scene are CGI, but mostly they're not. Usually it's real dogs doing real dog stunts, which whips ass. There's a lot of really cool moments. There's the one you just mentioned. There's the one where one of the dogs like comes back to her when she's like in cover, like behind one of those pillars, and the dog like goes between her legs, and she like grabs it by the collar and sends it off in one direction, and it just like launches at this guy and knocks him over and like starts mauling his face, which rules. There's another moment where like a guy is on the roof shooting from up there, and Halle Berry like calls the dog, and the dog like she like crouches down to like give it a boost, and the dog uses her back as like an intermediate jump to jump up onto the roof.
That's the coolest one.
It's so fucking sick.
There's the moment where they all
run
out of ammo.
Yep, that's here.
I like the ending where they're going to steal a Jeep or something.
Yeah.
And the dogs leap into one Jeep and kill two guys and rip their throats out.
And there's a great practical squib. It's one of the only noticeable ones in the movie where the blood explodes across the windshield while the dog's mauling the dude. And it's like, that's a real squib, and it fucking rips. Yeah.
And then they jump into the truck with Halle Berry and drive to the middle of the desert. There's that great scene where he pricks his thumb in the marker and gives it back to her, showing that we're even. Right? She's like, actually now we're less than even, and takes out a water bottle with like barely a swig of water left,
and she looks like she's gonna hand it to him, and he looks really appreciative at first. And she takes it back and like really slowly gulps down all of it, swishes it around in her mouth, and just spits like a tiny bit of it back into the bottle.
Yeah, there's like half of the amount left.
Yeah.
I'd be chugging that down immediately.
Yeah.
Also, like, okay, so I'm wondering what I'm trying to remember if he's carrying it throughout that scene. I would probably just drink it and give it back to her and be like, okay, find a trash can.
Right.
Because I'm not littering the Sahara Desert with this giant 32-ounce water bottle.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine these like pristine orange dunes and like one Aquafina bottle. Yeah. I think he is carrying it through the desert. Like, I think when you see him, he still has it.
Yeah, I think he might be.
Yeah, and then like John Wick turns into Moses and wanders the desert in search of God.
The way that Jerome Flynn described how to find the Elder was like, find this star. And
Canis Major, which is just a reference to dogs, because everything in these movies is about dogs.
Yeah. Find the star, walk until you're almost dead, and then walk a little bit further, which is very cool and esoteric and weird and mythic, which is what I like about these movies, is when they do that stuff.
Same.
So he does that, and a lot of these shots are really nice. Some of them may be assisted with CGI, but for the most part, you can't really tell. He walks up a dune and falls over, and according to Justus, meets God.
He meets God. The elder is God. I'm sorry. It's a metaphor. He's not actually God. He's actually just a dude who looks younger than John Wick and yet is called the elder. And he's the one that sits above the table, right? So like the canonical thing is like this is a guy who's like in charge of the high table and what he says goes. And if John goes directly to him, you know, he can just bargain with the guy at the top to get the contract canceled, which is what happens. I think this movie is a metaphor for reckoning with your continued existence once you hit a point where you're like, what am I alive for? Not necessarily like a suicidal point, but a point where you're like, I'm not sure what purpose I am serving by continuing to be, you know? And I very much think that is what this movie is about. Like, I think that's what the theme of this movie. What this movie is Keanu Reeves killing 1 million people. But what it is trying to be about on a deeper level is, I think, that, right? And I think it succeeds mostly. Like, the thematic depth of any John Wick movie is like not. It's not what you go to these movies for.
It's a kiddie pool,
right? Yeah,
but it's just enough, and it's more than I expect from a movie like this.
Exactly,
which is why I appreciate it so much.
And it's more than what you get from most other movies of this ilk, right? But this whole conversation with the elder, where John is like, I want the contract canceled. Like, I want to come here and make an offering to you in order for like your favor, basically. And the elder's like, why? Right? Like, why do you want to live? Basically. And John Wick is like, well, to remember her, right? Because in the first movie, his wife has died of cancer, like before the movie starts. And so his character through all of these movies, like all of it is in service of honoring the memory of his dead wife, right? And the elder is like, really? Like, that's it? Like, just you're living for the memory of dead love? And John's kind of like, yeah, like, I kind of think that's enough, is sort of his vibe, right? Where he's like, well, if I can't have her back, which is impossible, then, like, that's all I really can live for. And it's, like, kind of touching and really sad. And also just, like, yeah, the reason that I'm like, this is the scene where John Wick meets God is because it's like, it sort of has the vibe of like, he is talking to like an omnipotent force. Like the elder seems to know everything, right?
Well, the moment that you try to like break this down logically within the movie.
Yeah. It kind of all falls apart.
Falls apart because like, okay, there's this guy living in a little tent community in the middle of the Sahara Desert, running like this assassin organization.
This Bedouin wanderer who is in charge of a global network of assassins that spans every single country in the world.
How is he doing this without the internet?
Right, yeah. And so it's like, it's pretty clear that the movie doesn't want you to take it super literally. Yeah. It doesn't want you to think about the logistics of how this fits into the world. It's about the themes that they're talking. It's about the conversation that they have, right? And yeah, I just think it's like John Wick looking his creator in the face and being like, well, since you made me, since I'm here, I have to figure out what I'm living for. And if the best thing I can come up with is I loved someone who's gone now, isn't that kind of on you? Is sort of what I take away from this scene.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like with the location, it feels like we're in a different movie all of a sudden, and because the location doesn't make sense, it sort of functions as like heaven or something a little bit fantastical and beyond belief.
Yeah, and it also just has the vibe of like Moses. Like it feels like an Old Testament story or like a parable or like a folktale, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, wander in the desert and walk until you can't walk anymore, and then once you collapse, this mystical being will find you, or he won't. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I could see how it's a meeting God scene.
Yeah.
I think my favorite meeting God scene is in, stay tuned, Network.
Oh, I've never seen Network.
I watched it once, and I really, really enjoyed it, so we should definitely talk about it and do it again. But there is an excellent meeting God scene in that movie.
Nice.
That is probably the famous scene that everyone knows, which is Warren. No, it's Ned Beatty, not Warren Beatty. Ned Beatty shows up and just wanders into the movie and is like, I'm going to be a god for the next 2 minutes of this scene. Anyway, so he cuts his finger off as sacrifice, and gives the he cuts off his wedding finger. His wedding finger.
His wedding finger.
Is that what it's called?
I don't think it's called the wedding finger, but everyone knows what you're talking about. It's your ring finger on your left hand.
Yeah.
Yes, your wedding finger.
And he cuts that off and gives his wedding ring to the elder as a gift.
I'd have to give him the whole finger because I have one of those wedding ring tattoos. I don't even wear a real ring. I just have a tattoo, so I'd have to be like, do you have a razor or something where I can just cut the tattoo off? And I'll give that to you.
You could get a tattoo further up the stub, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's also very funny anytime we cut to a wide shot and it's just CGI Keanu Reeves' hand.
Yes, with the one missing finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is funny that then they have to CGI out his finger for like half of this movie and then an entire other movie. Like we talked about, the finger doesn't look great, but I really like this moment of him like sacrificing his wedding ring, and he doesn't hesitate at all. He does it really fast, and it makes sense from what you know about his character, because it's like the wedding ring is a thing. That's not his relationship with his wife. He's already made it clear that what he is trying to keep alive is the memory of her, right? And so it's like, this is an important thing to him that he's giving up, but it's not him walking away from Helen. It's like, this is what's going to get me a little bit farther, is giving this object up. But she's not the ring.
Yeah.
You know, she's what lives on in my head and in my heart, you know? And I just kind of like that. I kind of like that it's not hard for him to part with it, you know?
And I think if this movie is about him finding a reason to continue to exist, I think the fourth movie is pretty explicitly about him realizing that what everyone said about like how this journey is going to end and how he's going to die, and he can't outrun everyone forever. It is about him learning to accept death and trying to choose how people remember him.
Yes.
And his whole thing about wanting to be remembered as a good husband and being the best wife guy in the world.
Yes.
While in the process killing 1 million people. So the fact that he wants to be remembered as not as a killer, so he's going to kill 1 million people and then be remembered as a wife guy.
Yeah.
As contradictory and silly as that is, I think Keanu delivers it in a way that works, and the movie sells it really well.
Yeah, we haven't really said this in so many words, but I do think Keanu Reeves is the only person who could pull John Wick off. Yeah. I can't think of literally any other actor who could do this character in this franchise, even at all. Like, I kind of think it has to be him. And that makes sense, because Chad Stahelski wrote this franchise for Keanu, right? Like you already mentioned, they have a decade-spanning relationship before the first one of these even comes out, right? But it's like, in no world is there anyone else who can pull off that thing that you just talked about, right? Which is like, he has to be a killing machine, and you have to be like, my sweet baby boy, you know, he loves his wife so much. And and he does it immaculately.
Yeah. So he makes it back to New York City and has to make his way to the Continental to kill Winston.
Yeah.
And along the way, there's a few action scenes that happen. Zero has entered the picture, who's the assassin played by Mark Dacascos, who is the #1 John Wick fan, apparently.
The scene where Zero gets introduced is one of my favorite scenes of this movie, because it's another adjudicator scene. And they show up at this like street sushi bar in New York, and they just like sit down and pass over their adjudicator coin. And Zero's a sushi chef at this restaurant, and he looks at the coin and immediately starts butchering a blowfish. and he puts like the like little piece of like the best meat from the blowfish on the adjudicator's plate and is like, blowfish, very deadly. And the adjudicator like so delicately picks it up and just pops it into their mouth. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. It's extremely awesome and also very hot. Then Zero is like, all right, like I'm all in, like whatever you need me for. And then like from there we see Zero raid like the Bowery and the ballet hall, which we already talked about. But yeah, so like by the time John Wick gets back from Casablanca, Zero's like waiting for him in the train station. he's like, I knew which train you would be on. Right. I like the part where the like field trip group gets between them and Zero's like, well, that's the difference between you and I wouldn't have stopped. I would have fucking killed those kids.
I like the guy that teleports.
Yes.
The guy that teleports into the scene, and then a crowd walks by and he teleports around the children to be right next to John Wick, and then John Wick kills him.
Yes. And he's like, is this guy with you? And Zero goes, he was. I think this performance, as much as I love the adjudicator and think that they're the best performance of villain performance of this movie, Zero's really, really close for me, man. I love this guy's whole thing. I love when he's shaving his head with a straight razor in the Continental when he's waiting to kill John Wick. I love when John Wick takes off on a motorcycle and he pulls the motorcycle helmet off of a dead guy and puts it on because he's not going to ride that bike without a helmet. I especially love his death, which we'll get to. Yeah.
He's a lot of fun. And these movies are full of villains, but I don't think there's a performance. There are any villain performances that are as strong as Asia Kate Dillon and Mark Dacascos in this movie.
Yeah.
I think Michael Nyqvist in the first one is a lot of fun, especially when like his son dies and for the rest of the movie he's just like smoking weed and getting drunk.
He's like, the Baba Yaga's coming for me, I gotta live it up. Oh shit, I got so much good kush. The Baba Yaga's gonna be here any second. I don't want to waste this.
And there's lots of fun henchmen and stuff, but I think no one sticks out like Mark Dacascos.
Yeah.
He fucking kicks ass in this.
He rules. Yeah, so they're like they're in the train station. They John Wick
John Wick exits the train station and hears motorcycles coming, so he launches himself into the air to tackle both of these guys off their motorcycles one after the other, and it's the coolest fucking thing that I've ever seen in a movie, and every time I watch it, I just applaud. It's so rad. And then he beats a guy to death, or near death at least, with his own motorcycle helmet and then shoots him, and it's fucking awesome as fuck.
Yeah, I have nothing to add.
Moving on.
Yeah. Then there's a motorcycle chase, which isn't very good. It's mostly CGI. We talked about.
I really like the shot where it pulls back and all the motorcycles get into a line, and they take out their daggers and their katana daggers. What's it called? Is that a Tonto? I think
it's a Tonto. Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
That's rad. That's a really cool shot. But the
and
scene
they're motorcycle ninjas. It's all very anime. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's fun.
I like him stabbing dudes in the head through their motorcycle helmets with the katana and shit. Yeah, and then so he ices like all these motorcycle dudes, and then from there he gets to the Continental like at the end of this chase. The only dude left alive who was on his tail is Zero, and Zero and him have like a little showdown like on the steps of the Continental, and literally it's so funny because like Zero's like gonna kill him, and then it is literally like, I'm on base, you can't kill me, because he just puts one hand on the Continental steps, and Lance Reddick like immediately like goes through the front doors and is like, no, you cannot kill him, he's touching Continental property. Mark Dacascos is like, fucking seriously? It's like he's got like 3 fingers on it.
I also really like that that scene, or that chase, ends with Keanu crashing the motorcycle and sliding into the Continental. Yeah. It's rad. It's really cool.
It is rad. So then they go inside and it's like kind of a brief we have some brief downtime here where Zero starts fanboying out over him. He's like, hey, I just gotta say, man, huge fan.
The scene where they sit on the couch and he scoots over to sit next to him.
Yeah.
So fucking funny.
It's really funny. I love how much Zero loves John Wick. Because he's like, hey, so far, man, you haven't let me down at all. I have been really enjoying seeing all of my friends get killed by you. This is rad as fuck.
And then I love when he starts trying to villain monologue at him where he's like, John, we're the same, John Wick. And John's like, fuck off, man.
Yeah, he's like, you don't have the juice for this, man. Like, come on. Yeah, and he even kind of delivers it kind of dismissively when he's like, we're not the same. So then he goes to John Wick goes to have a scene with Winston in the big glass room at the top of the Continental.
Yes, I love when action movies make locations that are like, hey, it would be really cool if someone had a fight here in about 10 minutes, wouldn't it?
Yep. And also this location, the set for the glass room at the Continental looks rad as fuck, and it is mostly a real set. Like some of the stuff like out the windows is clearly like CGI'd in, like CGI backgrounds, but a lot of the actual these rooms made of glass and the walls made of glass, they just made a room made out of glass and shot in it, and it's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
There's like samurai armor in a case. There's all these cases, these glass cases that have glass skulls inside of them. Which rules. It looks fucking incredible.
And the top level is where Ian McShane is, and he has a chess set out.
Yeah,
with these very like pretentious minimalist chess pieces.
Yeah, and there's like a big projector screen behind him. Yeah.
Oh man, those projections are so cool.
Yeah. It's rad. It's such a cool location. It looks amazing. The lighting in this whole movie, but especially in any scenes that take place in this location, is really, really good.
Yeah, these movies are these last two, again, I think, are really fucking well lit movies.
Yeah.
And they're visual feasts.
Yeah, I think one of the best examples in this movie is when the high table forces come in and they cut the power and it goes into that flickering green. There's like these strip lights that are like partway up the wall throughout the entire Continental that are like flickering green, like neon lights. And it just like bathes the whole scene in like this really cool, like kind of rave lighting. One of the best examples of the lighting in the whole franchise is the Germany nightclub in 4. That whole sequence, I'm like, I think this is some of the best use of lighting and color in any action movie ever.
I really even like the lighting in some of the exposition scenes. Like what sticks out to me is in the Ruska Roma when he's talking to Angelica Houston and is like, I tear my ticket, I've earned it or whatever. I'm owed. It's like it's the yellow and blue lighting, but it's like more of like kind of a gold and then a darker blue, and the close-ups on his face.
Yeah.
It looks really, really well done, and I think both these movies look fucking great.
They're pretty and they're shiny, and we like it.
Yeah. I like when scene is one color.
I like
sometimes.
When movie look good. I like when Dario Argento lighting. So he has his showdown with Winston, where he's like, yeah, so like God sent me on a holy quest to kill you to redeem my soul. And Winston's like, well, do you want to do that? And he's like, not really. And then the adjudicator comes in and is like, hey, so like, you killing this guy or not?
So good to see you. Right. I was expecting you. I've heard everything. I got a smoke signal from the Bedouins in the desert.
Yes.
Somehow. They sent an email, they sent a text.
The elder reached directly into my brain with telepathy, as we all know he is capable of doing. And told me what the deal was.
So just shoot Winston and we'll wipe the slate clean and get to business.
Yeah, and I like that the adjudicator kind of picks up on the vibe between the two of them, because they've pretty quickly decided that they're not going to be betraying each other, right? And so the adjudicator turns to Winston and is like, so how are you feeling about giving up your position as the manager of the Continental? And Ian McShane's like, yeah, not really feeling that. And the adjudicator turns to John Wick and is like, and how about putting a bullet in this guy's brain? And he's like, yeah, that's gonna be a no from me. And they're like, okay, well, in that case, we're gonna send in the fucking armored,
the fucking high table SWAT team.
Yes, the high table SWAT team. Yeah, the high table SEALs. And they call the pinup phone bank and are like, the New York Continental is deconsecrated, which I love. Deconsecrated. The fact that they start using overtly religious terminology.
It's fun when they start bringing in silly words to describe very simple things.
Yes, yeah. Like excommunicado is also pretty overtly religious because it's like, it brings to mind like the Catholic Church. So I just love that like this criminal underground is like is like using like Latin. But so they the Continental's deconsecrated. Now you can just kill whoever you want there. It's no longer home base. And so Winston takes John to his vault full of guns.
Yeah, this is where we get guns, lots of guns.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guns, and one thing we haven't really talked about yet is when these movies become gun porn.
Yeah, sometimes these movies are just about guns. Yeah.
And I sort of love it.
Yeah. Listen, David and I are cisgender, heterosexual white men. We're not immune to the allures of a sexy photograph of a machine gun.
I've been watching a lot of gun shorts on YouTube, so like I like when John Wick goes for the Terran Tactical branded Glock that he had from the last movie and pulls it off the shelf. And Lance Reddick says, no, sir.
Yeah.
We have a Terran Tactical branded 2011 Combat Master, brand new and available for $6,000 to any divorced dad watching this movie that wants to blow their child support money.
For a second, I thought when you said who wants to blow, I thought that was going to go in a way darker direction than child support money. I was like, blow their brains out there.
Because Taron Butler is a legendary competitive shooter and did the firearm training for Keanu on at least 2, 3, and 4. I don't know about the first one.
Yeah.
And every movie, he's like, all right, I'm going to design a new super expensive weapon with like high performance triggers and a really, really cool paint job and just like really, really well designed parts.
Yeah.
And sell it for $6,000 on my website and give it to Keanu Reeves in the movie.
You got to do product placement for guns too, I guess.
And they're all cool and I want to buy all of them.
You don't own any guns currently, right?
I own no guns.
Yeah.
If I were to buy a gun,
mm-hmm.
My two options are either a Heritage Rough Rider, which is like a $200 single action revolver that shoots 22 rounds. Yeah. So it's like perfect to go to the range and plink with.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I would want it for. Or the $7,000 Terran Tactical Pit Viper from John Wick 4.
Yeah.
Which is just a super expensive high performance 2011. But in reality, I would, if I were to buy a gun, rather than buying the super expensive one or the the very cheap one that isn't very powerful, I would probably try to find something in the middle that is like fun to shoot at a range, but also useful in a self-defense situation.
A reasonable gun.
I'm not going to be whipping out a single action pea shooter
yeah.
if someone breaks into my house.
It'd be funny. It'd be funny to just have like a black powder pistol.
Fucking blunderbuss.
Yeah.
Who goes there?
Sorry, while you were talking about guns, I started disassociating for a second and realizing that I described myself as a heterosexual white man when I've been talking about how I'm attracted to a non-binary character in this movie the entire time. So I guess heterosexual asterisk.
You can define your sexuality however you want to.
That's true.
That's
true. Yeah,
I think Hunter Schafer's fucking gorgeous, and she's
a woman.
She's a trans woman.
Yeah, but she's a woman.
So does that mean I'm heterosexual?
I think it does mean you're heterosexual.
I don't really care.
I mean, well, yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to. You were talking about guns, and now we're talking about the gender spectrum. Only on the greatest movie ever made. yeah. So this scene where they're getting all armed up does end with Ian McShane in Latin saying the title of the movie, where he's like, if you want peace, prepare for war, and prepare for war is Parabellum.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the cool subtitles in John Wick movies, but like, I know
the font.
Yes, and how sometimes they're really big, and how sometimes certain words are in a special color and shit. And it's like so extra. Like they don't need to be doing all that. And also, I love it. No notes.
It's very fun.
Yes.
Very, very fun.
Yes. It is one of those decisions in these movies where I'm like, is this objectively like sort of stupid that they're like doing fun subtitles? Sure. It's stupid in a way that I love. I don't want them to not be doing it. And in addition to Parabellum, meaning prepare for war, we talked about how this movie is sometimes gun porn.
Yeah.
It's also a gun reference.
Yes, it also is type of 9mm round.
And also a type of pistol, semi-automatic pistol known as the Parabellum pistol, which is used in the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah.
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 And then the best part of the movie happens for the next 40 minutes.
Right. So, like, yeah, because this is just an extended, as John Wick films are wont to do in the third act. The whole third act is one big action sequence. So it starts with Lance Reddick and John Wick and a bunch of guys who die immediately going out into the Continental lobby with this cool laser tag lighting.
Yeah, these Continental guards, not the sharpest tools in the shed.
They're just there so that someone can eat shit before the armored guys, before John Wick learns how to kill the armored guys.
Yeah.
There has to be a body count in every frame of this movie.
I know we're about to talk about action, but this scene is built up to with this classical piece.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about the music at all.
Yeah.
But I really like how this classical piece then turns into like a hyped up techno remix when the action starts.
Me too.
And in general, I think the music in all these movies, and this one, of course, is really good.
Yeah, good score.
I think Tyler Bates' score is great.
Yep.
I love when it hits the main theme. I love that it can get a little bit industrial and electronic, and also occasionally, throw in some like metal guitars and stuff.
Yep.
It's just perfect at getting you hyped up.
So I described this before as like a video game fight. The reason that I said that is because there's a new type of enemy that's introduced that you have to kill in a very specific way. And to the movie's credit, it's not video game action sequence derogatory. It's actually like a pretty good execution of that, because it's like they use purely visual language. There is like no line of dialogue where Lance Reddick says to John Wick, you have to shoot them in the neck. That's where their armor's weak. It's like nobody says it. You learn it by watching John Wick figuring it out.
Yeah, the first two guys that John Wick goes up against, he shoots them a couple times and is like, all right, cool, moving on to the next guys. And then he does a double take because they get back up.
Right. He's like, wait, what the fuck?
And that's such a fucking funny visual gag.
It's a funny visual gag that is punctuated by the score, because the score like gets a little quiet after he dispatches those guys. And then there is like a little string sting when the guys start moving again. Yeah. It's very funny.
And then he keeps shooting them over and over again, and then eventually is just like flipping up their visors and aiming under their necks at point blank range to try to kill these guys.
Yeah, I love when he starts flipping up their visors and just shooting them in the face through the helmet. Yeah, that shit's awesome.
And then I like when it spills over to the like bathhouse portion of the lobby.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they fall into the spa or the jacuzzi. And it's, again, like a very nice moment of pacing, too, because things slow down for a bit, and they're underwater and struggling a little bit. And John Wick swims out of range of the bullets before they just, like, limply flop out of the gun underwater. And then he gets momentum by pushing off the wall to swim up to the guy, flip the visor up, and shoot him like 3 times in the face underwater.
Yeah, it's rad as fuck.
So like any video game fight, they get an upgrade.
Right.
They go back into the vault. They storm back in. Lance Reddick's so pissed about this.
Yes. I also love Keanu's a little like John Wick is mostly he's mostly always kind of at a 3 out of 10. He's usually the intensity on him is pretty low. When they go back into the vault, he's also pissed. Like he's mad too. And he's like, I need more firepower. It rules.
They get armor-piercing shotgun slugs.
Yep. Yeah, 12-gauge slugs, yeah. And just start blowing these dudes' fucking heads off. And, their CGI head explosions. Some of them look better than others, but I am a happy man.
I do think that they set up like an ambush because they're in the furnace room / evidence room. I kind of took in this location for the first time today where there's a bunch of random objects with blood on them, and then you see body bags, and there's this giant roaring furnace in the background. I'm like, this is just where they get rid of all the dead bodies and the evidence.
I think so, right? Because, it's a criminal underworld hotel. People are coming in with shit they gotta get rid of. I got a body in my trunk I gotta take somewhere. Better book a room at the Continental.
So the high table guys come in and then
get some fucking room service while they're barbecuing the guy I killed.
They get ambushed by John Wick and Charon, Lance Reddick.
Yeah. I also have always liked that his name is Charon because that's the guy who's the ferryman on the River Styx.
Yeah, I think this is the first movie where they say it out loud too.
Yeah.
But they're hiding on one of these evidence shelves, and I think a guy gets his head blown in half.
Yeah.
By the shotgun.
I think so.
And it's really cool, even though it's just like CGI.
But some of the CGI in this scene is good.
Yeah.
Like some of the CGI head explosions look good, so I don't mind them. They're blowing lots of guys' heads off. Eventually, they basically fully dispatch the SWAT team, more or less. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, Lance Reddick kind of disappears. Maybe he goes back to the vault to wait with Winston or something. And John Wick goes up to the glass room again.
Yeah.
And because Zero, I think, kind of leads him up there. And then he gets ambushed by all of Zero's students. So the two guys from the raid are part of this fight, but they don't show up. Like, it's literally like...
It's a Bruce Lee game of death fight where there's multiple levels and multiple enemies.
Right. Or, like, I was also thinking about it like a video game, right? Where he's been fighting the normal type of enemy, which are the SWAT guys, right?
Or if you're a SpongeBob SquarePants fan, that one episode where Sandy is wearing a Bruce Lee outfit and defeating all these guys with karate in a house with multiple levels, which is a reference to Game of Death.
Well, there you go. For all
That's
the SpongeBob
where I
fans.
first learned it from.
I'm not well versed in SpongeBob. You know this about me.
Oh, that's right. I couldn't remember if it was you or your wife, but I knew it was one of you.
It is I. She watched a lot of SpongeBob growing up, but I had not seen a full episode of SpongeBob until I was an adult. And even now, I think I've seen like 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just missed that whole ship. But it's right. Like the guys in the SWAT armor are like the regular enemy for the level. Then you get like the kind of beefed up enemies for the level, which are like some of Zero's like ninja pupils. And then you get the mini boss, which are the two
the Shinobi twins,
the 2 guys from the raid, right?
The guys from the raid,
and then you get the boss, which is Zero. Yeah. But this is where Keanu Reeves starts getting thrown through so many panes of glass that it truly boggles the mind. It's like the moment in the 4th movie when he gets thrown down the same set of stairs multiple times, and it starts being really funny. Like, it stops being like, oh, fuck, how is he going to get out of this one? And it starts being like, oh, come on, man. Like, let him get up the fucking stairs. Him getting thrown through all these glass cases is that in this movie, where it's like, the first few times you're like, wow, John Wick's really getting his shit rocked. He's got to turn this around. And then after a while, you're just like, again?
Leave the poor man alone.
Holy shit. Also, who's going to clean up all this fucking broken glass? But eventually he does turn the fight around on these guys and dispatches them all. Unfortunately, I don't like remember a ton of like the specific choreo that he does on these guys.
Yeah. There's a few things that they do in this movie occasionally where one of the background stunt actors will come out of the shadows in the shot and surprise someone.
Yeah.
And I think that's always done really, really well. There's one moment here where there's a completely dark corner of the arena and John Wick is fighting a guy in the foreground and dispatches him, and then a guy runs out from that dark corner and starts attacking him. And then in the Bowery massacre, there's a dude just like crouched on top of some lockers that emerges from the shadows to stab a guy in the head.
I do love that moment.
So those moments are really cool throughout this movie, and I like the way the one that's integrated into this scene here. But yeah, it's really like it's a really, really good sequence, but I think what makes it's nothing compared to the mini boss and the boss.
Right.
Like John Wick fighting those guys from the raid is so good.
It's okay, so like the fight with Zero is great. And the knife hallway is great, and all the Casablanca stuff that we've talked about. I think my favorite fight choreo in this whole movie is Keanu Reeves fighting these two guys, the two guys from the raid. Like, I just think that this is where the choreo peaks in this movie. It's like the best fight in the movie. It whips so much ass. It's so good.
And I like the dialogue too, where they're like, oh, he's getting a little slow, but he's still John Wick.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. I love them like taking it easy on him. I love the moment where they help him up. They've knocked him down and they like offer their hands to like get him back to his feet because they don't want to like take him out quick. They want to, this is fun, you know? We're fighting with the best. He's a legend, you know? And like, so I like that they like give him some time to like warm up, which I think is eventually why he leaves those guys alive. Those are the guys where
because he's learned to respect them,
right? And that
after throwing them through a glass floor,
and they had a chance to kill him easily, and they didn't take it.
Yeah,
they were like, no, like we want the real John Wick experience. You know, and so like I just love this whole movement here,
and more of the raid style choreography comes back here, where it's like brutal and chaotic and less comedic than maybe some of the stuff in the previous fight. And these guys are just getting torn up and beaten to shit, and it's rad as fuck.
Yep. Yeah, and I like these guys, rather than like katanas or like the tantos, they have these kind of like little short knives that they're fighting him with.
Yeah, one of them has a karambit that he's got like a reverse grip on.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's so sick. Yeah. And like David said, this fight ends with them with John Wick smashing one of the glass floor panels, and all three of them get like dropped like an entire story onto the glass floor, and like John Wick gets up and these other guys are like too beaten up, and so they're just kind of laying there like ow, and he's like I'll be seeing you. Yeah. And he says it in Indonesian.
Yeah. And the chairman has been watching the chairman, Mark Dacascos, Zero, has been watching all of this, and after each fight, there's just a little visual gag where he's like applauding or giving the thumbs up from above.
That shit is so fucking funny.
And that it leads to their final fight. And I love him like appearing from out behind one of the samurai armor displays very dramatically and once again going, we're the same, you know.
Yeah.
and then they start a fight and with Tontos, and I really love within the first few moves of the fight, Zero has his blade at John Wick's neck, and John Wick just walks toward him and is just like, yeah, fucking do it. I know you can't.
Yeah.
Because you respect me and you want to have this fight drawn out.
Yeah.
That's such a great moment. And then they just get Zero gets so messed up in this fight eventually.
Yeah.
He gets his fingers cut off.
Yeah.
He's like,
I think one of his arms gets broken, or like his hand gets broken at one point.
Yeah, and then his hand that's still functioning, he very dramatically curls it into a fist.
The John Wick starts doing the teleporting thing here because like Zero has been doing the thing where he's been like he's behind a glass wall. And so John can't get to him. And John shoots the glass and it's bulletproof. And he does the little finger wag or whatever. Yeah.
I forgot to mention in the fight with the Shinobis, he starts fighting them with his belt.
Oh, fuck yes!
I just needed to say that. We needed to say that because it's another one of the hundreds of things in this movie that is fucking cool.
And the belt thing is set up earlier because when John Wick goes to visit the Ruska Roma, they take all of his weapons at the door and they're like, "And your belt." And he looks at him like, "Fucking seriously?" And then he lays the belt down on the table. So we get a payoff on the belt thing. Because then he's whipping these dudes with the belt and using it to get the knives out of their hands and shit. Yeah, it rocks.
Maybe we need to upgrade the belts in the next movie. We've done the bulletproof suits. Everyone has a bulletproof suit. Now we need belts with razor sharp edges.
Right. Yeah. Sharpened belts or a
belt with a really big buckle that he can swing like a morning star.
A belt that when you snap it, it explodes a little bit. It's like the two sides of the gum in Mission Impossible. It's if the two sides of the belt touch each other, it fucking shoots a little fireball or something. Yeah,
just get James Bond with it. It's really, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the Zero fight.
Yeah. So John Wick starts teleporting here because all the other ninjas have been doing that to him, and then he starts doing it. So he's when the fight turns and Zero starts losing, then John Wick starts phasing out of reality and then appearing behind Mark Dacascos. And there's a great moment where Zero has his back to one of those dark corners that you were talking about before, and Keanu Reeves appears in this fucking dark corner like Michael fucking Myers. It's so similar to the shot from Halloween where Michael appears behind Laurie that I'm like, was that on purpose? It rolls. And yeah, eventually he's fucked Zero up a ton, and it ends with him stabbing him through the stomach.
Yeah, he punches it into his stomach, basically.
Well, he punches it into his stomach a couple times and it doesn't go all the way in, and then the fight continues and he struggles and gets him on the floor and then punches it even more. Yeah. Yeah. It whips.
And the Mark Dacascos pulls himself up. He's like, "John, that was a pretty cool fight, huh?"
Yeah. So
that's so funny.
So between him getting impaled with the sword and him getting up and having the little final exchange, we briefly cut to the adjudicator's room at the Continental.
Oh, right.
And they pick up the phone and dial Winston, who's still sitting in the vault with the dog, and they're like, "I propose a parlay." And Winston's like, "Yes, absolutely." And then it cuts back to John Wick kneeling and Zero kneeling next to him and being like, "Yeah, man, that fight was cool as fuck, dude." and he's like, "Right, John?" And Keanu gives him a, "Yeah." And he's like,
it's basically that line reading too. He's like, "Yeah, I guess you were right."
Yeah,
that's fun. Yeah.
And then Zero's like, "Be seeing you, John." And John turns around and goes, "No, you won't." And this guy just fucking falls over dead. It's awesome. It's such a good end for the character. I love that little final exchange that they have.
I do think the back-to-back 3-course meal of the body armor, the shotguns, and then the game of death fight is my favorite action sequence in the franchise.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think this is my favorite shit in any of these movies.
Yeah, and there's great stuff in 4.
Yeah,
and I think 4 is maybe a better movie ever so slightly. Like the Dragon's Breath stuff and the
German
fight on the steps
too is so good.
And I mean, there's great stuff in all these movies, but I think in a series consisting of nothing but the coolest action scenes I've ever seen, the end of 3 is the coolest action scene of these movies.
Yeah, it's probably the highest of many, many high points. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they have parlay on the roof. The adjudicator and Winston are up there, and John shows up, and they're like, "Okay, so we're gonna truce." And Winston's like, so actually, adjudicator, wasn't it really rad how like I laid out all of your fucking high table dudes? And the adjudicator's like, you son of a bitch.
You pull the fast one on us.
Oh, I see. You were just showing us how good you are at being part of the high table. How did I not see this? Which is insane that that's how this world works.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, really, I wanted to show my loyalty to you by killing 1 million of your guys and causing you like tons of like financial loss for all this insane equipment that they were like souped up with that we've destroyed. Like, aren't you proud of me?
It is funny that Ian McShane makes that excuse, and then the adjudicator's like, you know what? Good point.
Yeah. I'm like, is it?
Especially because so far the adjudicator's been portrayed as like very much a lawful evil character who's abiding by the rules. And all of a sudden in the final hour, they're like, I like your moxie.
You know what I just remembered, actually? I've been enforcing all these rules. Turns out we're a criminal underground network of thieves and murderers. So actually, good job murdering.
But then, of course, the adjudicator's like, so what do we do about John Wick? And Ian McShane is like, oh my God, I've seized this moment. I gotta latch onto this. We can't let this go. Let's fucking kill him. And
yes,
and he shoots him multiple times in the suit.
And Winston knows that he's not killing him because he knows that he's shooting him in the bulletproof suit. But he still does.
That fall should have killed him. That fall would kill you in a video game, let alone real life.
Yeah, he falls off the roof and like bounces off of like multiple like metal awnings and then just like lands like fucking spine first on cobblestone. It's like that dude is never getting up again. But instead he gets put in a wheelbarrow and wheeled to Laurence Fishburne by Jason Mantzoukas. And dumped out at the foot of his sewer throne.
Laurence Fishburne delivers a little revenge speech.
Are you pissed, John?
Oh, but we do get the joke about he raises his hand and Laurence Fishburne, it's like, wow, they fucked you up good, and it's his hand with the missing finger, and then he flips him off.
Yeah, and then the other hand comes up and it's the middle finger. That is a really funny joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, are you pissed off, John? And John goes, yeah.
Credits.
Yeah. What a fucking good movie, man.
I mean, do we even need to do this part?
I feel like it's part of the format of the show, but we can probably be pretty quick with it. Here we go, on 3. On 3, both of us will say whether John Wick 3, John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum is the greatest movie ever made. 3, 2, 1, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck!
You missed your moment.
Damn it!
or you could have gone, yeah, I'm thinking John Wick is the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's the greatest movie ever made.
I could count.
Man, I fucked that up royally.
You really did.
The fact that I'm not retaking it, listeners, you should just know that I value authenticity above all else, because otherwise we would absolutely retake that, and I would also do a John Wick. Yeah,
I can count the action movies that are better than this on maybe 2 hands.
Yeah, maybe 2 hands missing 1 ring finger.
Yeah, and one of them is another movie in this franchise. Yeah. So like. Yeah, it's a glorious celebration of the movies that influence these filmmakers, the work that these filmmakers and these artists have put into their craft, whether it be directing, cinematography, music,
horse training,
stunt choreography. And it's just some of the most viscerally satisfying action that's ever been put on screen, with a nice little sprinkling of mythic theming that I really fuck with.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Do you have a ranking for these?
Yeah, my Wick ranking, in order to feel totally confident about this, I would need to see 2 and 4 again.
Right.
But right now, it's like 4-3, but that's really close, and I don't know if when I watch 4 again, 3 might be higher, but for me, it's 4-3-1-2.
Yeah, me too. And 3 and 4 are very close.
Yeah.
On any given day, it could switch up.
And I like all of these movies. Even 2, which is at the bottom, like I still fuck with 2. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, 2's great. And for a long time, 1, 2, and 3 were all basically even for me.
Yeah.
And then it was only until I went back to the movies and watched 4 that I sort of solidified my ranking. But like, yeah, these movies are great, and you should watch them.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the John Wick franchise, see it.
You're fucking up.
If you have only seen some of them, it's worth seeing all of them too. Yeah. So, David, what are we talking about next week? Next week,
we are covering a movie requested by our lovely new managing assistant, E.T.
Woo!
They sent us a list of movies that they'd recommended to us, and we batted it back and forth, and we have landed on the 50s greaser-style musical starring Johnny Depp, Cry Baby, directed by John Waters.
Oh, boy. I've never seen this movie.
I have.
But just knowing that it is a greaser musical starring Johnny Depp directed by John Waters, I am very, very interested to see what this is like.
Yeah, I'm interested to go back to it because I watched this in a hotel with my parents on a vacation, and even though I don't remember much of it, I literally have like the main musical theme playing in my head right now. So cool. Join us next week for that. In the meantime, please continue to spread the word about the show to your friends, family, lovers, enemies, your fellow assassins.
Yes.
If you're a part of some sort of criminal assassin underground.
Yeah, definitely plug us to everybody at the Continental when you visit.
Be sure to like, rate, review, comment, subscribe. We have a TikTok now. We've gained a few followers from TikTok. If you're joining us from that, hey, welcome.
Yeah. It's great to see the new socials that ET has been helping us launch have been getting a little bit of attention. It's nice that things seem to be picking up a little bit. So definitely follow us on all those platforms, and you can stay up to date with what's happening on the show. And also ET is posting some like extra goodies, like international posters for the movies, and some of our media recommendations that we talk about on the show.
There's a lot of stuff happening on Instagram right now, so that's probably like the best place to go to. But
jump on it. Give us some engagement.
We're still on Twitter and Blue Sky.
Yeah.
And we have a Patreon that we're starting to work on.
Yes, it's probably going to be a free Patreon.
Yeah.
So because we know mostly, not mostly, but we know a lot of our listeners are people that know us personally, and we're not going to like try and get you to pay us. But if you want more from us, that might be on a free Patreon in the future.
Yeah. There will be stuff coming on that in the near horizon future. Yeah. I should stop saying words.
Yeah, we've been going for a little bit, and we should probably shut the fuck up.
Join us next week for Wow. Join us next
week.
We were
so close, man. The finish line was right there.
I really just stumbled over that. Join us next week for Cry Baby.
Cry Baby.
As always, later, dipshits.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Greatest Movie Ever Made. Please remember to leave us a rating and a review, and to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We appreciate you supporting the show and spreading the word. Tell your friends to listen, tell your enemies to listen, tell your mom to listen. If your neighbor has an unsecured Bluetooth speaker, connect to it and play an episode. You can follow us on social media at TGMEM_podcast. And if you've got a movie that you want us to talk about, send us an email at thegreatestmoviepodcast@gmail.com.